I will one day share with you. I have it on my iPod, so you can hear it. I mean, it's not something that you can hear how he just doesn't stop. It's crying and crying. It was unbelievable. It was in the Purim Fabrengen.
But it's like Adar. You're not supposed to cry.
But you'll see. You'll see. This is not the crying of depression. This is a different kind of crying. The Mamar begins with the words of the beginning of the 6th chapter of the Megillah. Balaylah Hahu nodid oshnas hamelech. On that night, the sleep of the king was disturbed. And of course, we'll talk, the literal story there was Achashverosh was unable to sleep at night, and he couldn't fall asleep, and he woke up and he asked for his chronicles to be read, right? And it's a known minhag, it's a known custom that at this point in the reader raises his voice. He reads it louder from this point then on, because this is where the happy part starts. So this discourse said in 1960, on the out of Purim Fabrengen, begins like this: Balaylah Hahu nodid oshnas hamelech. And that night, the sleep of the king was disturbed. Or maybe kveit kedushas meirav v'chami admur. My father-in-law brings in his discourse mashakosov b'minhage ma'aril d'min balaylah hahu tzarol hagbias kaili. He refers to that which is written in the customs of the Maharil, which was a great sage. And his custom was, he writes, that from when you start the 6th chapter of the Megillah, you raise your voice, you say it louder. Take fishel nest, because this part of the story begins the most important part of the miracle. The strength of the miracle is in this. This is where the miracle starts, with the strength of the miracle, the most important miracle. So you say it loud. And he asks a question on this thing. Seemingly, that is not the most important part of the miracle. The story of that they brought the chronicles to be read, and that Mordechai was led on a horse. I mean, that's a nice thing, but that doesn't seem, when you read the story, it doesn't seem that was the great part of the miracle. What was the great part of the miracle when you read the Megillah is in chapter 7, when Esther's sitting together with Haman and Achashverosh at the party, and she tells him that, he wants to kill me and my people, and Achashverosh gets all angry, and turns. That's when the real miracle when things turn around. And what does it mean that this main miracle is that night he couldn't sleep? Big deal. I mean, how important is that? And he explains that which is according to what is written in the Yalkut. In the Yalkut Shimoni, it's a medrash. And medrash, the Yalkut Shimoni says that when it says in the Megillah, Balaylah Hahu nodid oshnas hamelech, that in that night the king couldn't sleep, it's referring to not to Achashverosh so much, but to the king of the universe, meaning Hashem. That Hashem woke up. And that's why that's the greatest part of the miracle, that Hashem woke up. But the Rebbe says, this still does not answer this question enough. But the contrary, this brings a further question. What does it mean that Hashem woke up? That means he went to sleep at some point, and he woke up from sleep. What does it mean that Hashem slept? Hashem sleeps. It says, we say it in Tehillim, I think it's in Tehillim, yeah. We say in Tehillim that the guardian of Israel, meaning Hashem, does not sleep and does not slumber. What does it mean he slept and he woke up? And he explains that it's the idea of Hashem sleeping is, it says it's based on the verse, kamayim haponim loponim, like a person. When he looks into water, you look into water. You see a reflection, like a mirror, right? which reflects your face. Came leiv ha'adam el adam. Just like when you look into the water, what you show is what you get, right? Your face that you show to the water is what you receive back. It's came leiv ha'adam el adam. Same thing, from a person to another person. What you what you show to another person, he shows you back. Meaning, if you show a loving heart, he'll show you back love. So this is the same thing here with Hashem. Ukidu a Pirush Baal Shem Tov, as the Baal Shem Tov explains. Al Pasuk Hashem Tzilcha, there's a Pasuk in Tehillim also, that it says Hashem is our shadow. What does that mean? The Kamei HaTzeil, just like a shadow. Harimasha ha'odam oisen, nasa oisa ha'dover, gam ba'tzeil. Where you're standing in the middle of the in the sun, yeah? And the sun is and you have a shadow. Or you're standing a light, whatever, there's a shadow. So if you move your hand, the shadow will show a moving hand. Everything you do is what's going to happen in the shadow. So in the same way, Hashem is our shadow. Whatever we do down here, that's what happens, He does up there. So He's a reflection of us. Just like water to water, yeah, you put this, Hashem is... So we slept, He slept. What does that mean? He says that the upper world is very much like the lower world. What happens down here reflects up there, and that we cause it the same thing to happen up there. As it says in the Zohar, on Parshas Tetzav, it says the same similar idea. And the same thing is regarding sleeping, getting back to our topic. That because down here the Jews were sleeping, so that caused that Hashem up there should also sleep. Instead of the normal state, which is reflected in that pasuk we just said before, where it says that the guardian of Israel nor sleeps nor slumbers, that's all if we don't sleep and slumber. If we're doing okay, but if we start sleeping down here, then Hashem up there also falls asleep. But when Jews down here sleep, then we have to look for ways to make sure that Hashem doesn't sleep. And we have to tell Hashem, wake up, why do you sleep? Because He naturally will fall asleep if we sleep, because that's how the world works. What does it mean down here we're sleeping? What does it mean the Jews are sleeping? And what does it mean to sleeping down here? He explains over there in that Maimah of the previous Rebbe, this one is when we say that we're sleeping, that happens when we're in Golus, when we're in exile. As it says in the Pasuk, in the Song of Songs, he says, I am asleep, but my heart is awake. The Yisa B'Zeir, what in the Zeir comments on this verse, Ani Yeshena B'Golusa. And when it says, I'm sleeping, it means in Golus, because of the Golus, because of the exile. When a person sleeps, his whole body is 100% intact. Just like when he's up. Your body is there. But your faculties, especially your inner faculties, are working in a much weaker way when you're sleeping. Or they are functioning not in the normal way when you're sleeping. As it's known, that when you sleep, it's most recognizable in your eyes. The power to see, of sight, is one of the most important powers within the human experience. Imri'iyah kapshuti, imri'iyah on the seichel, whether it's the sight of the eyes or the mind's eye, to be able to, the ability to contemplate and think. As it says in the pasuk in Ecclesiastes, it says that the wise man, his eyes are in his head, whereas a fool walks in darkness. So we see that the pasuk associates that one. It's over there. Just pull it. It says that the eyesight. You see that the pasuk, the verse associates sight with wisdom. The wise man's eyes is in his head. What does it mean, eyes? He doesn't mean physically eyes. He doesn't mean just seeing physically. He means the ability for the mind to look, to see, to perceive, to function properly. So if a person doesn't see and doesn't know what's going on with him, that's sleep. When you're sleeping, you don't know what's going on with you. You don't see. You're not functioning properly. That's why exile is called sleep. When the Beis Hamikdash was standing in the time of the temple, we saw godliness literally. We perceived it was revealed. As it says, the kshem sheboliris kach boliro is just like you came to be seen, you came to see. Hashem sees you, and you saw Hashem, who's open, revealed godliness. Veroa sora nisim beguli, and they saw the 10 miracles daily in the temple revealed before them. Everyone saw it. There were 10 miracles in the Beis Hamikdash every day. Omnam bisman agolus, they say no later, but in time of exile, we do not see our signs. We don't see godliness openly. On the contrary, it's completely concealed. Behind the gambis managolus yeshnam nisim. It doesn't mean that in time of exile there's no miracles. It's just that the person to whom it's happening, he doesn't even recognize that it's happening to him. That's the meaning that the miracles we don't see. It doesn't mean there's no miracles, it's just that we don't see them. Just like it's by sight, we don't see, we don't hear either. What does it mean to hear? It means to perceive. In the kasher choser esle chushav chana lahavchem ben shmua teiv l'shmua ra in the zo matzav shoshina v'cheinu gam b'shara k'richas ha'pnimi. When you don't have the ability to discern between a good tiding and a negative tiding, it's all mixed up, that means you're sleeping. When you sleep, a person is sleeping, and you tell him the good news, this and this happened, or you tell him bad news, he's going right over his head, he's sleeping. It's the same thing over here. When you don't have a good perception of what's good and what's bad, you're not able to perceive properly or to see properly. It means you're sleeping. That's the concept of sleep in Golus, and that's the situation in Golus, in exile. And just like it's by hearing and seeing, it's the same thing with all your other faculties. When you're asleep, they're not functioning. You with me? Mm-hmm. Furthermore, there's another aspect of sleeping. There's another aspect to sleep, is that when you're sleeping, all your faculties are functioning, but they're not functioning in a normal, orderly fashion. Is just like when you dream, yeah? You have the ability to see in a dream. It says talks about seeing in your dream. You can see. Same thing you can hear in the dream. And other things you can do. But all these things are happening in a very not orderly fashion. Sometimes two opposites can happen at the same time in the dream. Sometimes you can see in the dream things that are totally opposite of the truth, that the things that don't make sense at all. We can make it in just the same thing. It's in the spiritual sense. You have person has to be able to see and hear. What is seeing and hearing in the spiritual way? First, we have to raise. It says in the pasuk in Isaiah, it says, "Raise up your eyes and see who created everything." What does it mean? Raise up your eyes and see. With your eyes, you got to see that, perceive that Hashem is the creator of the world, to see things right. It says, Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear Israel, Hashem is one. That's hearing. That's the concept of seeing and hearing in a way of perceiving properly. And that's what seeing and hearing means spiritually. And also to see and hear normally with your physical eyes and physical ears. When you're up, you hear and see normally. When you're sleeping, you don't hear and see normally. So when you're not seeing properly and you're not hearing properly, that's a sign of sleep. That's a sign of sleep. And when that happens, you can fall very low. So when that happens to mankind, there's a reflection above to the upper worlds, and that happens in the upper realms as well. So when we're down here, we're asleep, we're sleeping, so up there Hashem is also sleeping. What does it mean that up there to sleep? That their powers are also not functioning in an orderly fashion. Their power of sight and heaven's power of hearing is all mixed up. In the verse in Tehillim it says that the eyes of Hashem are always upon the tzaddikim, the righteous, and his ears are too. He hears their pleas and their prayers. It also says, it also says that the eyes of God are seeing the whole earth. That means that it is divine providence over the whole earth. So what happens when we're in exile? All these faculties above in Hashem's reality are also a little confused. What does that mean? And he also functions. It's like when you were sleeping, yeah? In your dream, you see two opposites, right? Things happening and you don't even realize it's opposites. Same thing happens when Hashem is sleeping. The opposite's going to happen. That means even in times of golus, in time of exile, there is goodness coming from heaven. The problem is this goodness is ending up in the wrong places. Instead of it ending up where it should be by tzaddikim and Jewish people and people at Hashem, it's ending up in the wrong places. So it's not that there's no bestowal of goodness, but it's just not, it's going to the wrong places. It's going to the opposite from where it belongs. Until it's possible that in a time when Hashem is sleeping, the very opposites of the very opposite of truth can happen. What is the truth? That God chose the Jewish people and He raised them above everyone else. But what happens in Golus? Oftentimes the Jews are totally downtrodden and everyone else is above and we're down. So that's the opposite of what the truth is. But that can happen because Hashem is sleeping. That's the request that we Jews have. Wake up, God, why are you sleeping? How do we wake up Hashem? Well, we wake ourselves up. How do we? What do we have to do? The way to wake up Hashem is through our Mesiras Nefesh. When we're ready to totally devote ourselves in such a way that goes beyond our normal behavior. We go beyond total self-sacrifice. The mitzad hakeiches apnimim minim achar shem b'chin shina ein yachal lavid behem nesavidose ben yachal lahanigesim kertzene kem b'chin shina ad shem mati meise. When you're asleep, we said like this, in Golus we're asleep, right? What does sleep mean? That your inner faculties are all dormant, they're sleeping, they're confused, everything is topsy-turvy, it's not right. But, so from the standpoint of your intellect and your emotions, things are confused. Yeah, we love the wrong things, we perceive the wrong things. Yeah, we're not seeing godliness, we're not seeing it right. So that's all from the standpoint of your faculties, the regular faculties. But when you go on Mesiris Nefesh, but through the Aveda, the service of total self-sacrifice, and self-sacrifice comes from a place in your soul that's beyond your regular faculties. Where does self-sacrifice come from within a Jew? The readiness to give up everything. It comes from the essence of your soul. It doesn't come from the regular faculties of the soul. The regular faculties of the soul could be sleeping and confused. But comes a moment of truth where something touches you at the core essence of who you are, and then you respond and you give up your life for Hashem. That dedication, or at least the potential for that dedication, the readiness for that dedication, that wakes up God. Then that arouses also above in the reality of Hashem. That instead of Hashem sleeping and being removed from us, of higher and higher and higher, his sleep is disturbed. The sleep of the King of the universe is disturbed, and that is the great beginning of the miracle. And that's why we raise our voice when we start saying those words. We say it louder. Because the great miracle is not so much that this, that, and happened with Achashverosh. And Achashverosh is just a pawn in the hands of Hashem. Why was Achashverosh able to make a decree to kill all the Jews? Because Hashem is sleeping. The minute Hashem wakes up, then it's all over, right? Everything goes back to normal, right? Why are we downtrodden and our enemies are above, able to control us? Because the Hashem is sleeping, and when you're sleeping, things are totally opposite and confused. So what has to happen? You have to wake up Hashem. The minute where you wake up, everything is back to normal, right? You start seeing normal, you start hearing normal, it's normal. When you wake up Hashem, that's the miracle. After that, everything automatically falls into place. Haman is down and the Jews are up. So the miracle is not that Esther made a request and Achashverosh was excited. The miracle was that God woke up. And that's why the beginning of the ultimate part of the miracle is the words, Balaylah Hahu noded Oshnas HaMelech. In the middle of that night, the king woke up. What's important to mention is that in other places on this same discourse, it's the same in the other Hasidic discourses on this topic, the Rebbe explains that the miracle was that even though it was Balaylah Hahu, even though it was deep in the middle of the night, well, Hashem woke up. When does Hashem wake up? Normally you wake up in the morning. In the middle of the night you don't wake up. What does night mean? Deep in Golus. Night is when it's dark. It's a deep exile. It means that the Jews didn't even wake up yet. It's still in the middle of the night, and yet Hashem woke up.
So he woke up before the Jews?
Even though it was deep in the middle of the night.
Sometimes you said that whenever happened up is a reflection here down here. So
that's also true.
So where
it's both true. That means we reflect that we have 10 faculties in our soul because there are 10 spheres up there. But behavior is the other way around. When we behave in one way, that causes a reflection above. Who we are is a reflection down here because it's that way up there. But the behavior causes the opposite the opposite reflection. Let's go further. This is also the order in the Song of Songs where King Solomon says, I am asleep, but my heart is up, is awake. After that verse comes another verse where he says, Kel Deidi, the voice of my beloved, David knocks on my door. The voice of my beloved knocks. David is knocking. Pischeli, open up for me. Yeah, open up. Pischeli, Achesi, my sister, Ayasi, my friend, Yoinosi, my dove, Tamosi, my complete one. You know that verse? Huh? Yeah. So that comes after the verse. Ani yeshena v'libi eir, I am asleep and my heart is awake. Comes the next verse where King Solomon describes how the beloved knocks on our door. Please open up for me. Ukedisa b'zeir, as it says in the Zeir, Ani yeshena, when it says that I am asleep, again we quoted it earlier, he quotes it again, that means bigalusa. When we are in exile, we're asleep. Agam oz in v'libi eir, even then our heart, the deepest part of our essence, is awake. The liyeshin ukudis hayadis itavan b'shlei musa. L'zeis in v'libi libim shel Yisroel k'meshukasat sur l'vavi v'chalki elikim la'ilam hini v'libi eir. That means, since the pintal yid, you know what the pintal yid is? In the essence of the neshama, our essence, Jewishness, is always complete. That never sleeps. Therefore, that causes that v'libi, our heart, the heart of Israel, is awake. U'mitzad zeh, asher v'libi eir, hine mitzad zeh, keil deidi deifik pischeli achesi rayasi yenasi tamas. And because our heart is awake, therefore Hashem, our beloved, can knock and ask, open up for me, my beloved, my friend, my sister, etc. If we were totally asleep, even our heart, the pintal yid, was asleep, God said, what are you knocking? There's no one home. So, but since there's that part of us is still awake, so there's hope, so Hashem can knock and say, open up the rest. What is Deidi? It says, Keil Deidi, the voice of my beloved. What's Deidi? Deidi Meloshen Ahava. Deidi is from this, means love, my beloved. This is the great love from the essence of Hashem that loves the essence of the Jewish people. This love is always complete. Even when a Yid sins, and he caused blemishes, and he went off the way of Hashem, and he's so spiritually impoverished, he has no connection. He's not capable of any kind of spiritual level, as far as at least in the revealed state. He's totally off the way. In that verse, my sister, there's four expressions there, right? Hashem says, open up for me, my sister, my beloved, my friend, my dove, and my tamosi, my complete one.
My what?
My complete one.
Tamati.
Tam, right. So, what are these four expressions? There are four levels, one higher than the other. Achos is the lower one, my friend is higher, my dove, and my complete one. So he says,
friend is above sister.
Huh?
Friend is above sister.
Rayosi, maybe my wife, maybe Rayati. Rayati, maybe it's more like a wife. So he says like this. These four levels, these four expressions refer to four different levels in the relationship with Hashem. So when a Yid went off the way, he completely left the path of Hashem. to the point where he's not connected to any level. Not only to the level of Tamati, which is the highest level, not even to the level of Yoinosi, to the Dov, which is a lower level. Not to the level of a wife. Even the level of the sister, the lowest level in that verse, he's missing. It's totally disconnected. As we will explain later in this discourse what these 4 different levels represent in our relationship with Hashem. So if it's a Jew that's not connected to any of them, still, because of the great love that Hashem has for the Jews, he bangs and he screams, and begs, open up for me. And you can imagine how the Rebbe over here broke down. This is where the emotion was unbelievable.
I don't understand why.
What?
I still don't understand why.
This is all because the love of Hashem is always complete. As it says in the Pasuk. In Malachi, Esav is a brother to Yaakov, right? They're both equal. They came from the same mother. They're both equal, right? Nevertheless, Hashem says, I love Yaakov and I hate Esav. Even in such a moment, in such a state, when Yaakov looks exactly like Esav, they're both brothers, you can't tell the difference between them. That means Yaakov is behaving completely like Esav. The Jew is totally off the way. Even then, I love Yaakov and I hate Esav. I'm not making up my own words. These are words in the Pasuk, in the Bible, in Malachi. And because of this love that Hashem has for us, He begs of the Jewish people, open up for me. We know that there's a statement by our rabbis that Hashem says, you open up for me, opening as small as the eye of a needle, and if you do that, I'll open up for you an opening as great as the great door of the temple, which was huge. It's a very big opening. We know that there are 2 ways, the 2 formations of this statement. One way it says is kecharora shel machat. Omnam girsa is amuvayz b'mamor mukechuda shel machat. Va'hefresh the charora shel machat acher shebei machnis machut. One girsa is that you open up for me kecharora shel machat. What is charora? Is when you put in every needle there's a little hole where you put the thread through, right? If you're going to sew something, that's the charora shel machat. But the more common girsa, the more common way it's written is kechuda shel machat, like the point of a needle, the tip, the needle itself, the tip of the needle. Is a shetach, and the difference between these 2 is when you say the whole of the needle, the hole is a little bit of an opening already. It's a little, there's width and breadth, right? There's length and breadth. There's some opening there. But the point of the needle, there's no width and breadth and length. There's nothing. It's just a tip. Because the needle becomes thinner and thinner till the point, and there's no thinner than that anymore. So it's the smallest. That's what Hashem says. Open up for me, like the point of a needle, not like the whole of a needle. It means you don't even have to open up like the whole of a needle, even just a tiny bit. There's no area. It's just a point. Sheim is a shum bir behad volei besechel shebemer volei b'midish b'lev volei b'shum inyan sheyeh ki min nekuda ba'alma shein ze b'shum eirach v'reich v'eimen v'hu inyan ha-mesiras navir b'li shum espashtus klal. What is the meaning of this? Hashem says, open up for me like the point of a needle, not like the whole of a needle. Point of a needle is, the hole of a needle has some opening. It's a small, but it has some. There's room. Yeah, you can put a thread through there. The point of a needle is so small that you can't do it. There's no room. There's no width. There's no height. There's nothing. It's just a point. In other words, the hole of a needle represents the opening opening of the hole of a needle would represent that in your mind is a little bit of an understanding. Your heart is a little bit of a feeling. There's something. Open up your mind a little to me. Open up your heart to me a little bit. That would be the hole of a needle. When you say the point of a needle, it means that even if your heart and mind are not, it doesn't even on your revealed the regular faculties, you don't appreciate it at all. You're not connected. It means you don't have a perception of godliness. You're so disconnected. You're so far removed. But your essence is still there. That's the pintal yid, right? The point of the needle. The pintal yid, that's what you have to open up for me. Get to that, to get a hold of yourself at the essence, and be ready for that level of commitment of Mesiras Nefesh. Then I'll open up for you. The sky is the limit. And this little point, when you open that up, when you have that point in the essence, that pierces a hole into the wall that stands between Hashem and the Jewish people. And when you open up the point of the needle, the essence, you get to the pintal yid, as they say, you open that up, you get in touch with that, that opens up an opening for us like the ulam, like the Pischa Shel Ulam, like the opening up of the main chamber of the Beis Hamikdash, the sanctuary, which was a huge, huge opening. I believe it was 20 cubits. V'hinei seder aliyah ma Pesach kechudesh shel machat ad lepischa shel ulam. What's the order? From the point where you get from the little tip of the needle till the opening up of the ulam, that great opening, there you have to pass through 4 levels. What are the 4 levels? Achesi, Rayosi, Yeinosi, Tamosi. My sister, my wife, my dove, and my Tamosi, my complete one.
The first one is my friend or my
Achesi, my sister. My friend I'm now translating as my wife, Rayati.
Oh, okay.
So the tchila hu ha-mesiras nefesh.